Sarah found the listing at 3:47 a.m., though she wouldn't remember opening her laptop. She would remember the insomnia. 18 days of it, ever since signing the divorce papers. She would remember the wine, 3 glasses deep into a bottle she didn't recall opening. But the moment between closing her eyes on the couch and waking to the cold glow of the screen remained a perfect blank, like a photograph with the center cut out. The listing filled her browser. No tabs, no history of how she'd arrived there. Just the house, its Victorian bones sagging against a twilight sky, and a price that made her laugh out loud in the empty apartment. She could hear the sound echo off walls that no longer belonged to her. 128 Mercy Street, $47,000. As is. Serious inquiries only. There was only one photo. No interior shots, no details, no flowery real estate language about charm or potential. Just that single exterior image and a phone number. Sarah called it. It rang once. "You're looking at the Crowley house," a man's voice said. No greeting, no identification. Yes, I'd like to schedule a viewing." A long pause. Sarah could hear breathing on the other end, shallow and deliberate, like someone measuring their words with surgical precision. "Tomorrow, 3:47 p.m. Don't be late." "Wait, I don't even know if—" "The address is in the listing. The door will be open." The line went dead. Sarah stared at her phone. The number she'd called showed only as a string of 7s. She tried to pull up the listing again, but her browser had closed. Her search history was empty. She typed 128 Mercy Street into Google. No results. She told herself it was the wine, the insomnia, the stress of losing everything, the house, the marriage, the future she'd built in her mind. She told herself she'd imagined it. But when she checked her calendar the next morning, there it was. Viewing, 128 Mercy Street, 3:47 p.m. In her handwriting. In ink. In a planner she hadn't touched in months. The GPS lost signal 2 miles from the address. Sarah drove by memory she didn't possess, turning down streets she'd never traveled, until the house materialized through the autumn fog, like a ship emerging from deep water. A man stood by the gate, thin, colorless, wearing a suit that might have been expensive 20 years ago. He checked his watch as she parked. "You're Marcus?" Sarah asked, approaching. He looked up with eyes that didn't quite focus on her. "You're on time. That's good. The house prefers punctuality." "The house prefers—" "This way." He was already walking, keys jangling in his hand like small bells. The porch steps groaned under their weight, each one crying out a different note. A minor scale descending into silence. Marcus stopped at the door, his hand on the knob. "How many people have you shown this house to?" Sarah asked. Marcus turned to look at her then, really look at her, and Sarah saw something flicker across his face. Recognition? Fear? Pity? "You're the first," he said softly. "You're always the first." The door swung open before Marcus could turn the key, exhaling a breath of cold air that tasted of copper and rot, and something else. Something that reminded Sarah of her grandmother's perfume, though her grandmother had been dead for 30 years. Inside, the clock on the mantel read 3:47. "When did the previous owner die?" Sarah heard herself ask, though she somehow already knew the answer. 4 months ago, Marcus said. not moving from the threshold, as if held back by an invisible line he couldn't cross. May 15th. What time? Marcus's face went white. How did you know to ask that? But Sarah was already walking deeper into the house, drawn forward by a gravity that had nothing to do with physics. She could feel it now, that sensation of being expected, of being waited for, of coming home to a place she'd never been. The dining room table was set for one: a plate, a knife, a fork. A wine glass half full of red wine that looked fresh, its surface still trembling slightly, as if someone had just set it down. Sarah lifted the glass to her lips. "Don't," Marcus whispered from somewhere behind her, his voice choked with horror. "Please, God, please don't drink that." The wine tasted like pennies and memories, like every bad decision she'd ever made, like divorce papers and empty apartments and calls to real estate agents in the dead of night. It tasted like coming home. Overhead, the footsteps began.